I like it when the light is not on me. Except just don't fall asleep on me. So, it's D-Day minus 2, you know. D-Day minus D. D is for disclosures, new disclosures. D-Day minus 2, and you cannot treat this lightly. You really can't, because this is going to change the way you and the lending industry will be doing business from the last 40 years. This change will really affect everybody a lot. You can tell the importance of this change when these big lenders like Chase and Wells Fargo start sending escrow people communications on a monthly basis to remind us of what we need to do. Truly, a monthly basis. Let me read you a couple of things that we have received just in the last few days. This one is from Chase. It's only two pages. They say this. We have to start the collaboration with Chase 15 days before closing, but no later than 7 to 8 days. The settlement agent should contact Chase, closing contact with all changes to the final transaction. Chase will update the closing disclosure, deliver it back to the settlement agent, and so forth. Then Wells Fargo, which is very good about this, sending out the communications. Last communication that they send out on September 14th has, I think it's like 20 some pages, I think it is. One of the things that they say is no unauthorized changes to the borrower's closing disclosure. They say target timing. I know you guys don't have this, but you know, I want to sincerely express how important it is for these lenders. 15 days prior to the closing, find out and communicate if there are any specific signing plans that could impact the CD timing requirements. Inform Wells Fargo as soon as you become aware of any pending changes. 10 days before, they ask you to go ahead and communicate with all parties so that everybody is aligned with the signing. 7 days before, do not provide any non-Wells Fargo version of the property of the borrower's CD to the party. 3 days before, immediately notify your Wells Fargo closer if you become aware of any changes. On the day of closing, they tell us, early document signing is not permitted. And you must, of course, notify your Wells Fargo closer if you become aware of any changes. And wait for direction before proceeding with document signing. I will tell you that it is amazing that these lenders have gone ahead and done this, sent to the settlement agents throughout the nation this communication, so that they are aware of the importance of all this. And unfortunately, we just attended a seminar last week, I think it was, and there's another one this week, and we found out that there are still many settlement agents who are not aware of what is happening, and it is very, very sad. So today I'm going to talk to you about what it is that you can expect. I think that a copy of my PDF is outside in case you don't have it. So pick it up so that we can go through with it together. Okay, what is not covered? Anything before midnight of October 2nd. So you got deals going, make sure that it goes through by October 2nd. Anything else? All cash transactions are not covered. Commercial properties or anything over 4-unit single-family homes in which the owner is not going to be owner-occupied, those are not covered. HELOCs, reverse mortgages, and mobile homes not attached. So those are things that are not covered. So as I said before, if you have anything that is an all cash, bring it on. We'll take it any time of the day. Okay, timelines, very important, and you need to know about it because you're going to be in control, at least we hope that you're going to be in control. First of all, the borrower needs to submit their loan application as soon as possible. In fact, when I get onto the bottom part of this presentation, I will let you know that I think it's important that the borrower gets their loan in place way before they start an offer. But anyway, submit the loan application as soon as possible because the loan officer is going to need some certain information in order to release a loan estimate. For instance, property address, sales price, loan amount that they want, social security number. These things are going to be necessary for the loan officer to start the process. Now, once he has all this information, the loan officer has 3 business days to send out the loan estimate, which is the LE. And of course, those of you who have come to my previous presentations, you know what the LE, the CD, and the consummation date are. Once the LE is sent out, the borrower has to approve going forward with this loan and this loan officer. And he has to return what we call the Notice of Intent to Proceed. I call it the NIP, Notice of Intent to Proceed. They have to do that as soon as possible because the loan officer can't even order the appraisal or the credit until they get this NIP. So it's very important that your buyer understands this. Now, when we get to a few days before closing, and a few I talk about 10 to 15 days, you have to understand that things are going to really heat up. And your lender, whoever the lender is, it may not be the original loan officer or the mortgage broker that you started out with, but your lender is going to have to schedule things to happen in a precise manner within timelines. The first thing that has to go out is the closing disclosure, the CD. So that means that the closing disclosure is the super important document that has to match the loan estimate in the charges. And it also cannot be changed. And if it does get changed, that CD has to be re-sent out by the loan officer, by the lender, and there could be delays. So once that is sent out, and it could be 7 days beforehand for the timeline mailing guidelines, the borrower has to review it, and they have to wait 3 business days before they can sign the loan docs. Okay, 3 business days. They just have to sit there and twiddle their thumbs for 3 business days. The loan docs cannot be signed earlier. You just heard me read out what Wells Fargo said. No signing earlier. Those loan docs will probably be predated the date that they are supposed to sign. You cannot sign earlier. Okay, once they sign, I estimate, now this 3 business days that I put at the bottom, the closing is estimated 3 business days. That's our estimate. Once you get the loan document signed, we estimate at the worst case 3 business days for the actual closing. Some lenders are good. Once you sign it, we can fax or email the parts of the documents to them and they can fund the next day. But not all of them are like that, and particularly now with the new disclosures, everybody's going to be very leery about funding the same day. They are going to want to make sure everything is covered before they fund the loan. So there could be delays in the closing from after the loan is signed, or the loan documents are signed. Okay, what are the causes of the delay? Well, the borrower, it could be a cause because he wants changes. Any change in the transaction has to be told to the lender right away. Okay? I told you, CD has to be redone. Unfortunately, changes may come through the middle of the transaction, and sometimes unbeknownst to the escrow officer. We don't find out about it until the very end, and I know I've emphasized this a zillion times. Please do not forget to let the escrow officer know when there's a change. And presumably the change will come now earlier than later. There's no changes at walkthrough. There's got to be changes before the final CD is issued out by the lender. Last minute credits, a very important thing. You negotiate a credit, you need to let everybody know, because some of these credits may be affecting, might affect the APR. And once you affect that APR, the 3 business days starts all over again. If it is something that does not affect the APR, does not affect the changed circumstances, then there may not be the 3 business day delay, they just have to reissue the CD. But there are certain things that if they affect the APR, then the whole process starts out again. In addition, changes in buyer's names. Let's say that the buyer decides they're going to add a middle initial, they're going to add a son or a daughter. Please, those things have to be known at the opening of escrow. Remember that when we get the opening of escrow done, we hope to have everything exactly the way it should be at the close. Okay, we don't want any changes, because any change will delay. Okay, buyer pay costs. Normally, buyer pays certain standard costs. If your transaction happens to have a buyer pay seller cost that is not normal, for instance, the buyer has to pay the HOA transfer fee, or the buyer has to pay the home protection policy. These are things that we need to know at the opening, because it's got to be put on the LE that the loan officer has to send out. So way at the beginning, these things we need to know. As a matter of fact, we have designed, or my company have designed, this long list. It's an 8.5 by 14 piece of paper with all the things that we need to know right at the beginning of escrow in order to proceed. So we actually literally designed a new form so that our staff can grill you as you open the escrow. Okay, what else do we need to know? The buyer going out of town. The buyer decides he's going to go on vacation, right? Or the buyer decides, I have to go back to my country. How am I going to sign the documents? If I don't know about these things at the closing, which will affect the costs, you can imagine how the lender is going to feel. So if your buyer is going to be out of town, please let us know. In fact, hopefully they will let you know, and then you can let us know. But these are important things because there's special signing needs. You have a deed of trust that has to go out to be signed at the American consulate. The appointment time could be 2 weeks away, or you're going to be signing this in New York, and the mobile signer is going to charge $250 versus $80 signing in our escrow company. These things are going to affect, so we need to know. Now, I have there a statement about inaccurate costs and information given to escrow. Yes, there are certain things called inaccurate costs. And what are those? For instance, let's say that you have a transaction coordinator fee, and you put on it $295, and it's actually $395. Or you have a possibly an insurance quote that is off. All of these costs need to appear as close as possible in the LE and carry it forward to the CD. So inaccurate costs are going to be a problem. And then of course, finally, like I mentioned, if there is a delay in giving the escrow changes, then you are going to have to pay the price, okay? Now, what do? You communicate. You communicate with your clients, you keep them in the loop, and most important, you've got to advise them that there are going to be potential issues and delays because of the new government rules and regulations. You need to let them know because they are going to have expectations. They think it's going to close on this day. And then all of a sudden, a little something happens, and it's all out of whack. Not only for the buyer, but also particularly for the seller. Okay, selling agent tips. This is what I'm here for, the tips for the selling agent and the listing agent. What is the buyer's financial strength? And you're gonna say, wow. Yes, as a representative for the buyer, you need to ask them certain pertinent questions because you need to know if they're going to be able to qualify for the loan, if they have the right down payment, if they have the down payment here, or is it coming as a gift from somewhere else. Ask them to please talk to a loan officer even before the offer is made. Get your finances in place before the offer is made. Because once the offer is made, it's boom, boom, boom. They need to follow timelines. So if you are aware a little bit about, and I know they don't want to disclose everything to you, but if you have control over your clients, please ask them. What are we looking for? How are we going to qualify the loan? Do you have everything set in one bank account? Things like that. Ask them to talk to the loan officer. Choose a loan officer. Do not, if possible, shop at that time. Shop before, and then you have an idea, or your borrower has an idea where they're going to go, and then everything opens smoothly. They will be able to go ahead and send back the NIP, the Notice of Intent to Proceed, as soon as they get the okay from the loan officer. Talk to the loan officer. This is very important. How much time do they think they need for the appraisal? How much time do they think they need for the loan? It's not going to be up to you anymore. It's going to be up to the loan officer. So this is why before you put in the offer, it's good to know who the loan officer is going to be, right? Instead of after the fact. Because you can talk to the loan officer and say, hey, you know, my buyer is going to come to you for the loan. And I think we're going to get a property of X amount of money. How much time do you think your company needs for the appraisal? Your company needs to get the loan commitment. Because you're going to need to know that amount of time and put it on the offer, right? Are you going to go to the default of 17 days and 21 days? I don't think you should. You should find out and make sure it's a realistic offer. Oh, wait, let me, hold on. Okay, she's taking a picture. And she puts it on Facebook. I gotta look good, you know. Why do you think I look like this today? I don't dress like this all the time. No. So, ask the loan officer, are you aware of the TRID process? What are you guys doing? Which lender are you going to use? If you're going to be using Chase, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, the big lenders, because they know what they're doing. If you're going to be using some of the other smaller lenders because they have a better rate, okay. All right, so need to find out all these things from the loan officer before you get the contract. You see where I'm going with this? You've got to do a lot of homework now. Okay, so when you have all that, you're going to have to make sure that you're going to need to put the time periods in correctly on the RPA, right? One of the other things that you should know is when you make the offer is you should interview the listing agent if you're the selling agent. Find out how much do they know, because you know you guys are going to be working very close together. And if the other agent does not know about the TRID and all and that they cannot control their client, you are going to have to pay for it. So my recommendation is for you to, in the heat of the moment, let's say, do try to interview the listing agent and make sure that they know what they're doing. Because I know everybody goes in, they want this property, they made the offer, they got the offer, everybody's so enthused, everybody's go, 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 and the listing agent doesn't know what they're doing. Ooh. Okay. 90% of the time. I don't want to hear about that. Okay. Let's see. Okay. Another selling agent tip process, of course, I've mentioned this before, where will the buyer be during this whole process? Are you, Mr. Buyer, going to be signing loan docs in the escrow office, or are you going to need a mobile notary? For instance, a buyer says, hey, listen, I'm a doctor. You know, I work, you can come and have the notary, if your escrow officer is willing to sign them up at 12 o'clock at night, you know. So you need to know, and you need to let the escrow officer know in advance when you open the escrow. By the way, this buyer is going to need a mobile notary, because the cost for a mobile notary is a lot different from the cost of doing the notary in the escrow office. You need to know. Do you have any important documents that need to be prepared? A power of attorney, a quitclaim deed. These things, unfortunately, cost money. They cost money to prepare, they cost money to record. Our recording fees are off, and we are out of balance. Our document fees are off, and we are out of balance. So if you have somebody who says, I'm going to need to quitclaim my wife, you should know this in advance, because you should know what the buyer's vesting is going to be, right? When you open up the escrow, you should know what the buyer is going to be, a married man, sole and separate with a quitclaim, or is it going to be husband and wife as joint tenants? So these things are known, need to be known. Okay, transaction coordinator fees, please, please. This is not a fee that should be forgotten, because it's usually what, $295, $395? I've seen $400. That adds a chunk of change to a buyer, a chunk of change, and of course to a seller. But we're, you know, the seller we can catch at the very end when we do the closing CD for them. But for the buyer, I need to know this on day one. Are there any transaction fees? Not only transaction coordinator fees, but also all the fees that we have cannot be guesstimates. We can put in fees that are the best of our knowledge, but we cannot do this and say, hey, we're going to need to schedule a document preparation fee. I'm going to say $250. And then when it goes down, great. You know, if it's only $50, I'll just take the $200 off in the closing CD. It doesn't work that way. The banks are going to compare what is on the original LE with what is on the CD. They're going to go like this. And they say, what the heck? You said you were going to charge $250 for the closing, for the document preparation. Now it's only $50. Oh, your escrow fee was $1,500 and now it's only $700. What the heck happened here? Redo. No guesstimates. Can you wait until the end? Because I'm going to lose my train of thought. You know, everybody here knows it. Wait until the end, Juliana, because if not, you know, it's called senioritis. Okay. Buyer normally pays fees by the seller. I told you about that. Home protection. Okay, you put in the contract, it's $495 for the home protection, and then all of a sudden you want to add the pool, the roof, whatever, it becomes $595. There's $100 difference. Where does it go? Right now, it's very simple. I just put it on the closing estimate. There's additional $100 that the buyer has to pay. But come October 3rd, it's not going to be that easy. If I don't know about it in the beginning, I can't put it in the beginning, and at the end, the buyer has to probably pay outside of escrow, because I don't want to change everything for $100. Okay? Termite, the same thing. HOA fees, the same thing. We need to find out about HOA fees right away. How much time do I have? Do I have enough time? Okay, HOA fees, because I haven't even gotten to the listing agents. Okay, all right. Buyers' names, are they correct? Is the vesting correct? I don't want to change the grantee. I don't want to change the escrow instructions because the buyers decide they're going to go joint tenants instead of community properties with right of survivorship, or because they added an initial. I want everything to be the same so that when I submit this to the lender is going to say, great job, Juliana, you did this perfect. That's what I'm looking for. Okay. Like I said, credits to the buyer need to know right away. Changes in the closing costs, they need to be resubmitted to the lender. So, discounts, we're all gonna go with a standard escrow fee. We're all gonna go with a standard escrow fee. We do not wanna change our escrow fee. It's just like when you put on the MLS that you're going to charge the selling agent 2.5%, right? Are you gonna change that because the seller says, I don't wanna pay 2.5? You're gonna say you already done it. This is the same for escrow. We're gonna stand by our escrow fee. And if you really want a discount, and you really want a discount, you better let us know on day one so that we can figure it into the cost. We don't want to have to resubmit to the lender because that time clock is gonna go boom, boom. Okay, where are we now? Listing agents. Credits to the buyer, we all talked about that. We need to know as soon as possible. Now, there's a few things that I recommend that you guys get done early when you get the listing. First of all, order the termite so you know what the bad news is. I would talk the seller into even ordering an inspection report. Pay for that. Oh, it's a couple $100. But at least then the seller is going to be aware what repairs are going to be needed. Especially when the buyer's inspector goes in and they're going to see the same issues. At least the seller knows, okay, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this, I'm not going to do this, but I'll give the credit to a buyer for this. So when they have the offer come in, they already know what are the things that they will do and will not do. Another thing, order the prelim advice in advance. Call your friendly escrow officer at Viva Escrow. My telephone number is 626-744. Call us and order a prelim on that file. We get the file set up for you right away. We will know what is going on with the file. If there's any issues that the seller may have that they are not aware of, because some of your sellers may have owned the property for 40 years and you don't know what that chain of title is going to look like. It could be ugly. And we probably need 30 days just to clear up the seller's ownership. So order the prelim in advance. HOA, oh my gosh. Your RPA says that they have to provide it in 10 days. Have I ever seen an HOA management company provide this in 10 days? I don't think so. It's more like 20 days, and that's if we beg and plead and get on our knees. So I would recommend that you get this done early. When you take the listing, you get the information from the seller. The seller can call the HOA and find out how much money they have to upfront, because we're going to need a check from your seller. Yes, sirree, $250, $350. They're going to need to pay that. They're going to need to send it regularly to the HOA or give it to us, and we're going to need to order that. We want to do this as soon as possible, because obviously HOAs have their own rules and regulations, and sometimes it's been known that the buyer doesn't like some of their rules and regulations, like no big pets. You can't bring an Alaskan Malamute or something into because they won't take it, Okay, HOA. Seller may need to upfront docs. Okay, got that. Find out how much the selling agent knows, again, about the TRID. Same thing for the listing agent as the selling agent. Can they manage their client's expectations? Very, very important. Concurrent closings for the sellers. Hopefully they will tell you in advance that they're going to buy another property and this one is trying to close together. Okay, but what I say is you have a concurrent closing. Okay, I'm going to go to church and I'm going to pray, because concurrent closings are going to be very difficult. You're going to be dealing with 2 lenders, 2 sets of people, craziness, everybody wants to close, none of the lenders talk to each other, and so forth. So if you have a concurrent closing, go back and review the selling agent's tips so that you know where you're going. Okay, where are we now? I think we're almost done. This one you guys have seen, right? This is my sample little closing escrow timeline. that you start on day 1 and you end up on day 38 when you're going to close, and everything goes well, and that's giving it a 2-week time period to get the loan approved. So I want you to make sure you look at that, and then you think, okay, I can squeeze some time out over here, I can squeeze some time out over here. Maybe that will make your time a little better, so that instead of 38 days, you've got, maybe 36 days. So, but not 45 or 60. Okay, so this was the trip. It has been a long process for me. It took me 3 years because I started out with the CFPB and when they did the Small Business Review Panel back in 2012, and they wanted me and 19 other members of the panel to provide input on their closing disclosures, and we said, we hate it. And they said, oh, too bad. You're going to get it anyway. Remember, after October 3rd, no HUD-1s for the transactions that open after October 3rd. Okay, no HUD-1s. Don't tell your escrow officer, says, can I have a HUD-1? Because we're going to say, hello, will you get on with the times? It's called the estimate closure now, closing statement now. Okay, no HUD-1s, thank God. And of course, may the force be with you. If you need a copy of my presentation on the PDF form, email me at j2@vivaescrow.com and I will send that to you. Thank you very much.